Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, November 17th edition of the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, and I'm joined by my co-host here, Cole Shelton, on this Tuesday morning to break down UFC 255, Cole. We finally got a pay-per-view again this weekend from Vegas, and we got lots to talk about with that card, obviously. And, of course, we're going to break down tonight's Ganeweights Contender Series. We actually have odds for that, so we'll break down that card, five-fight card tonight. We'll also be recapping UFC Vegas 14 that took place on the weekend, as well as Bellator 252 that took place this past week as well. So got a lot to talk about, Cole. First off, how's it going, man? I know you went on a little vacay. Much deserved, Cole. You've been busting your ass, so you want to talk about that quickly before we start the show here?
Yeah, I just went up to Blue Mountain for Saturday night. Just get away for a bit, get away from work and everything. It was nice to have a Saturday off and just not worry about the fights.
See, like when I started doing MMA 10 years ago, right? Like before that, I had normal jobs. So I'd work, 9 to 5 or 7 to 4, whatever it was, right? Then when I got into MMA, I realized there's no days off. It's just a grind every day, and I love it. I don't think I could do anything else. So I totally know what you're saying, Cole, because once in a while you do need that break just for your mental sake, and hope you're all prepared for today's show because we got lots to talk about, Cole. Let's jump right into it. I'm going to start with UFC on ESPN, I should say UFC Vegas 14. This past weekend's card. We'll recap that first. Let's start with the main event of the evening, Cole. Rafael dos Anjos defeats Paul Felder. Split decision.
That's like the worst scorecard I've ever seen.
It has to be one of the worst. I can't think of many worse ones than that. 48-47 Felder doesn't make much sense. I had a 49-46. I scored that fight for RDA over at bjpen.com. I gave him the first 3 rounds of the 5th round. I gave Felder the 4th round. I don't even see how you can give Felder 2 rounds. I think I was being generous giving him 1 round in that fight personally. So I think 49-46 is a good scorecard. I think 50-45 is also acceptable. A 48-47 scorecard, Cole. It's the kind of scorecard where I feel like the commission really needs to talk to this judge, Chris Lee, and he needs to go over the way he judges fights because he's clearly not understanding the criteria correctly, in my opinion. And also, the obnoxious people on Twitter who are like, oh, I don't mind that scorecard. Paul Felder did more off his back and stuff. He was doing stuff, no doubt about it. Are they forgetting what RDA, how dominant he was with its positions, called positional control, moving positions, ground and pound, striking, everything. He was just more effective at everything. So I thought it was a horrible scorecard. Thankfully, the right guy won. What do you think of RDA's performance? I know there's a certain website that wants to see him fight for the belt. I'm not so sure about that, Cole, but definitely a top 10 guy at 155.
I thought Dan Hooker makes sense. I think you could do that fight. Hooker obviously beat Felder, so they both beat Felder. Both technically split decision wins over Felder. So I think you can do that because I think obviously the way I see the lightweight division is Poirier-Conor. I assume Gaethje fights the winner. And then you do Ferguson-Chandler. So out of that top 5, it kind of leaves Dan Hooker, unless they do Hooker-Gaethje, which I wouldn't mind. But I think someone like that, like a Hooker, Charles Oliveira, Diego Ferreira, I think that makes sense. I don't really care to see the Islam Makhachev fight get rebooked. I wasn't really interested in that fight anyways. And especially after RDA goes out and beats top 10 guy, I think he's honestly past Islam.
I still think they're going to do that fight, Cole. And the reason I'm saying that is because they've invested so much in that fight. They've booked it twice now. They seem to really like that fight. Also, the reason they made that fight in the first place was because no one wants to fight Islam because he's ranked, I think, 12th right now. But he is probably a top 5 talent. So you're risking your spot in the rankings to fight a guy who's kind of unknown, but who everyone knows is really good. So RDA is one of the few guys that he will literally fight anyone, anywhere, at any weight class. So that's why I respect this guy so much, and that's why I respect Felder too. But I do think they'll rebook that fight, but I think any of the fights you suggested are fine. Last week I did an article on MMA ratings. I match made for the division, and that was the fight I suggested, Cole. But really, like those top 10 guys, even like maybe top 12, top 15, like the division's so stacked. I love lightweight, have for a long time. It's a great division. So I think you can mix and match any of these guys, and you really can't get a bad fight. So I'm totally fine with any of those matchups that you suggested, Cole. Co-main event here, Khaos Williams. I called this one, guys. Boom, there we go. Khaos Williams, first round knockout, plus 190 dog, Cole. Yes, that felt good. What do you think of that punch, Cole?
That was insane, man. He is he's obviously really good because he knocked out Murano and Abdul so quickly, but I still have so many questions about him. Well, what's his ground game like? What happens if he gets to that second, third round? Is his power still there? The thing is, he just ran through 2 fighters that he's probably going to get a ranked guy or just someone outside the rankings, but there's so many questions about him, which makes it so hard to bet on just because it's What happens if he fights a wrestler? We haven't seen his wrestling or his takedown defense. We haven't seen his cardio. Like, he could have terrible cardio behind 5 minutes, but we don't know because he looks so damn impressive in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, this was like a Rumble Johnson-esque knockout. It reminded me of when he knocked out Glover. It was just like that nasty big punch knockout, crazy knockout. I'm a big fan of this guy. Like I said, Cole, this line was nuts, especially after Al Hassan just lost the fight with Lizez. Had he not fought that fight, had he been coming off that layoff, and it was like a 2-year layoff, and he hadn't fought since the Eagle Price fight, I probably would have picked him here. But after seeing that fight, the way he performed, and also he missed weight, Cole, too. That was another clue that maybe, his training is not going properly. I don't know what's going on with this guy. 2 straight fights, Cole. I don't think they'll cut him because he's always in good fights, but, Cole, if he misses weight, he's already missed weight twice. At this point, does he move up to middleweight? Because he is a big dude, very muscular, but kind of short, too. So he's kind of like one of those guys like Hector Lombard, where he's kind of in the wrong weight class, I think, a little bit. Anyways, yeah, it was nice to hit that dog, though. The last few weeks, there haven't been many dogs that have cashed, but I've hit like almost all the dogs that have won. So, I don't like to brag too much here, but I've actually been picking the fights pretty good lately. I had a really rough stretch there in the summer when the promotion came back with the UFC in May. In June, I had some really rough events, but the last month or two, Cole, has been like smooth sailing, man. And this was a dog I really liked in Khaos Williams, and I don't think we're going to get him a plus 190 again, guys. So hopefully he took a stab at that one, because I'm pretty sure he'll be favored whoever he fights next, unless it's like a really top 10, 15 guy. I do think they'll probably shoot him up the ladder a bit, Cole, pretty quickly. So he'll probably get like one of those guys, maybe not ranked in the top 15, but just outside of it.
Do you know what would be fun?
Go ahead.
Him with Nico Price.
Yeah, so that'd be a great fight. Why not? That'd be a fun fight.
Or if you give him a ranked guy, him versus Vicente Luque would be really fun.
That'd be good too, but it's just like Vicente's been grinding.
Yeah.
He deserves someone like actually ranked. So it's tough. Like that's why it's hard to get a ranked opponent. That's why I don't love the rankings in general, because guys don't want to fight guys outside them, especially guys like Khaos, who are super, super dangerous with massive knockout power that don't have a big name in the sport. So, he seemed like a cool guy. He seemed very respectful too. Like that, I was watching the replay a few times. He stopped punching right away as soon as the referee stepped in. So I'd like to see that as well. Definitely, it seems like a really good prospect. Well, next fight, don't have to talk about this one. Really boring fight. Ashley Yoder versus Mander Ganger. Good call on this one, Cole. I'll go give you credit on this one, picking the dog, but not a very exciting fight, Cole. I think you're going to agree with me on that. But the next fight, they read my tweet on TV, guys. That was pretty sweet. And Brendan Fitzgerald name dropped me. Are you kidding me? That was insane. I felt so good after that. So that felt good, because it's like, man, I've been doing this for 10 years. To finally get a little bit of recognition like that feels really good. So that was awesome that Brendan actually read my tweet on TV and said my name, which was so cool. And I said it was going to be one of the best fights tonight. I think it turned out to be cool. Sean Strickland knocking out Brendan Allen in the second round. Performance of the night bonus for this guy, and for Williams, I should have mentioned. But Sean Strickland's a serious problem, Cole. He's a serious issue, man. I love this guy, Cole. I love everything about Sean Strickland's game. The ground game, the striking, the wrestling, his attitude, the cardio, everything, Cole. He's so good. Is it time that Sean Strickland gets fast-tracked to the top 15?
I think he'd give him top 15 guy. If he wants to make a quick turnaround, Omar Akhmedov's still without opponent on that 256 card. I think that a month away, Sean Strickland seems like he wants to fight often. He didn't really take much damage in that fight. I think if he wants to fight, I think that's a good matchup. Let's see what happens, because he has pretty good takedown defense. Let's see if Omari can take him down. Let's see if he can finish Omari Akhmedov, who's durable as hell. I think that's a good matchup. I
like that fight too. Even Chris Weidman, the guy that just beat Akhmedov, that'd be a good fight too, Cole. I think that'd be a fun one, and I think that Strickland probably wins that fight, but it'd be interesting to see. I'm a big fan of Sean Strickland. Beating Brendan Allen, I'm really high on too. Don't get me wrong. I'm still high on Allen. Yes, he got finished in this fight, but I picked him against Ian Heinisch, and after the fight, Heinisch was like, he threw some shade at him saying, like, why didn't you wait for me? But at the same time, I don't blame him for taking a fight. How do you even know if Heinisch is going to be available in January? Like, he might get sick or pull out again or get hurt. Like, anything can happen. So to me, I think I actually think Allen made the right call, especially Cole. He's only 24, so losing a fight is not a big deal. It's not like he hasn't lost before. He actually has 4 losses, but he has 15 wins. So I'm pretty high on him too. Now, we got to talk about this one quickly because, man, I think this was one of the biggest robberies we've seen in a while, Cole. Cory McKenna defeating Kay Hansen unanimously. I didn't agree with the decision at all, guys. I did think Hansen won the fight. I thought she won rounds 1 and 3. Heck, I think the second round was close. Could have gone to her, but the 3 judges actually had McKenna winning the first and second round. So Hansen needed to finish the entire fight, which is crazy to think about. You look at the media scorecards and MMA decisions, almost everyone scored it for Kay Hansen, including several 30-27s. Not many people had it for Cory McKenna. I didn't like this decision by the judges. It cost a lot of people money. It's the biggest problem with betting on MMA is you never know with the judges. I said last week, Cole, I really like Hansen this fight, but something's bothering me about this fight. I didn't expect it to be the stupid judges. What do you think of the decision, man?
I thought Hansen won all 3 rounds. I thought it was.
Yeah.
When they said unanimous, I'm like, oh, K won. Like, whatever. Yeah. But
crazy, huh?
Yeah.
It's like these guys need to be seriously scrutinized for their scorecards. You can't be screwing people's careers. Hansen's young. She's 21. She'll bounce back. But you screwed a lot of people with this decision, in my opinion. I just didn't agree with the decision. And you know me, Cole, just because I picked her doesn't mean I'm biased watching it. Like, once the fight starts, it doesn't matter what I picked or who I bet on. It doesn't matter. I'm just watching it objectively because I'm scoring these fights on the internet. I don't want to get crapped on and be called biased. That's not what I am. I'm watching fights objectively. I really did think Hansen won this fight. Don't like the decision at all. Go through the prelims really quick here, Cole. Kanako Murata defeats Brandon Marcos unanimously. Tony Gravely defeats Joel De Freitas. This was a pretty competitive fight, be a split decision. Alex Morono, he looked really good in this fight against Reese McKee, unanimously defeating him. And then Dontel Meese defeats Rocky Martinez in the first fight. I didn't expect that one to go the distance, I'll be honest, with those guys, but the Rocky guy's got a really good chin. So any thoughts on those prelims there, Cole?
Just Morano's looked really good. I thought he was going to win the fight. I picked him. I did not expect him to look that good. No, how about the missing mouthpiece? I don't think I've ever seen that happen before.
We didn't even talk about that, yeah. So in the fight with Morono and McKee, Morono knocked out McKee's mouthpiece at one point, and Jason Herzog, the referee, and I think it was Mark Smith, the cage shot official, they were looking underneath the ring, but the cage, I should say, but I believe the mouthpiece was actually on the apron of the cage. So they paused the fight for a few minutes looking for this guy's mouthpiece. Absolutely, I think fighters should have 2 mouthpieces because anything could happen. It could break or it could fall out and you could lose it like this. I've never seen that happen before, but it could happen. So you definitely have to have 2. I thought it was hilarious that Herzog was like, I'll give him my mouthpiece. He's like, I'll give him my mouthpiece. Let's get this fight going. I thought it was awesome. But yeah, that fight was a funny fight call. I think Morono, you look at the physical disadvantage he had with the reach and the height, but it was nullified just by his aggressiveness. Also, Reese McKee, he's a young guy who's getting better, but man, his striking defense, Cole, he's got the tall man striking defense. Same problem I had when I had my fight. Just stand straight up, keep your chin in the air. So he's got that issue. Anyways, Cole, I think that's going to be it for this card, unless there's anything else you wanted to mention quickly. You good, Cole?
Yep.
All right, let's see here. Valerie Marcel, nice mustache. Oh, there you go, Cole. Tickler, man, getting a compliment from the tickler. Hey, Melissa's here. I'm your biggest fan. Gave you a thumbs up before you even spoke. Love your work. Thanks, Melissa. I appreciate that. Actually, I told someone that last week that you left a comment. I really appreciate that. Thank you. All right, so let's go to Bellator 252. We'll recap that quickly, Cole. Did I not talk about it last Thursday? I said don't bet minus 600 on this Conor Gracie guy. People still parlay him, Cole. He gets knocked out in the first fight. Is this just more proof that you can't just blindly bet on these huge favorites in Bellator on the prelims, Cole?
You can do it on the main card, no problem. Prelims, absolutely not. Yeah, most Bellator cards, I think if you took every single Bellator card, you just parlayed all 4 favorites, I feel like you'd be up quite a bit of money. Yeah. You're obviously going to lose some, but I feel like the majority of favorites on the main cards always win.
I agree with Cole on that one. It seems like in Bellator, the chalk is usually the right side, especially on the main cards, but that's because they're proven fighters. We've seen them fight. In this case, how many fights do people really see of Conor Gracie or of Trevor Good? Not many.
They just saw his last name.
Yeah, exactly. It was the last name that got him there. So anyways, he gets knocked out. Next fight, Roman Faraldo, who's a favorite against Pat Casey, wins. Lucas Brennan was a favorite, defeats Andrew Celis. Jorno Lugo, a lot of people are talking about him as like a really good prospect, Cole. He beats Shiler Suto. He's a favorite. Here's the upset. I called this one too, Cole. Manny Muro via decision over Devin Powell. I called that one last week. I said, don't bet on Powell as a minus 280 favorite. Take Muro as a plus 220 dog. I really hope people listen to me. Kerry Melendez, that was an easy fight. That was one of the favorites you could parlay because that was such an easy matchup for her. First round submission. I actually called that to a T. Aaron Pico, I mean, I don't bet on Aaron Pico anymore, Cole, ever. Like, I will not put money on this guy because I don't trust him anymore. But he's obviously a talented guy. Gets the knockout there. But again, Cole, who's John DeJesus? Seriously, like, give him, when Aaron Pico fights someone decent, he often loses. So he's got to get somewhat of a step up, but I don't really know who you give him next, honestly. Maybe you give him Weichel. Weichel lost in this fight against Manuel Sanders, but he looked really good. He's a good step up. By the way, how good is Emmanuel Sanchez, Cole? Because, like, to me, he's a guy who could be in the top 15, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, he looked good in this fight. He dominated Daniel Weichel, and Daniel Weichel is a tough out for anyone to do that. I think that's crazy, but I'm really excited to see him rematch Patricio Pitbull. Pitbull, I think, I don't think it would be surprising to say Pitbull could beat Alexander Volkanovski. If they fought 10 times, I wouldn't be surprised if they both won 5 times. Like, I think Pitbull could be the champ or be like in the top 3 of the featherweight division in the UFC.
Yeah, the thing about that fight would be, I think Pitbull would be favored against Sanchez, but honestly, I think Sanchez is a live dog there. I really do. They fought 2 years ago, and Sanchez lost a split, but it was super close, super competitive. It was one of those fights where we honestly didn't know at the end of 25 what was going to happen. So I think it'd be a competitive fight, but we'll see what happens in that fight. Now, the next fight, this was a super close fight call, and Yaroslav Amasov, he improved his record 25-0 with a split decision win over Logan Storley, but I don't feel like Storley's stock dropped that much in this fight call. Like, it was super competitive, a huge sweat for everyone because a lot of people parlayed Amasov. So what do you think of the decision in this one?
I did think Amasov won, but it was a super close fight. I'm not going to be surprised if we see them rematch once like Amasov's a champion or once one of them way down the line again.
And do you think he's next for Douglas Lima? Because honestly, I think he deserves it more than Michael Page. I really do. And I think he's ready for that fight. I really do. Like 25-0, Cole. How do you get better than that? And look, he was beaten. There's some pretty good fighters in that crop of his last couple opponents. So what do you think, Cole? Douglas Lima versus Yaroslav Amasov, or do you think they're going to do the Michael Page rematch? What do you think?
I think it's going to be Lawrence Larkin.
Lawrence Larkin too. Yeah, that's another guy. Well, those 4 guys are probably the top 4 guys, right? So whoever doesn't fight Lima, you can match up the other 2. But I think Amasov, Cole, isn't it time for him to get like one of those top 3 or 4 guys? I think it's time, right?
Yeah.
He's ready for that step up. And of course, the main event, Patricio Pitbull. I mean, this was an easy fight. Knocks out Pedro Carvalho in the first round. And he's amazing. He's incredible. And it's funny because, like, you look at Michael Chandler, right? And I love Michael Chandler, but it's funny because he got knocked out by Pitbull last year. And everyone's like, oh, I want to see Michael Chandler fight Tony Ferguson, like the number 2 ranked lightweight in the world. Whereas Pitbull, no one's like that because he's not in the UFC. So I remember an interview a few months ago, Dana White was asked about Pitbull, and he's like, yeah, I know who he is. He's aware of him after he knocked out Chandler. So he's aware of him, man. I think at this point, he's going to be in Bellator for a while because he's probably locked up to a deal there. But at some point, I'd love to see Pitbull in the UFC. I just don't know if it's ever going to happen because he's probably in some ironclad deal right now where he can't get out due to just basically winning and having a champions clause. All right. That's it for Bellator, Cole. And now we're going to get to UFC, guys. This is a really good card. Like this card a lot. UFC 255. Right now we have 12 fights scheduled, Cole. So overall, what are your thoughts on the card while I set it up?
It's actually a sneaky good pay-per-view. I actually think this is a much better pay-per-view than the year-end card. Like 256. I think 256 is lacking quite a bit. Obviously, it doesn't have the big names. It's going to get the casual fans. For the hardcores, like Figueiredo Perez is a good fight. Like Moreno Royval is a good fight. Like on the prelims, like Joe Van Gunn, I'm looking forward to. Dolby Rodriguez. Like I think this is a sneaky good card, which could surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Cole. I think it's a little bit underrated. I think that it's lacking at big name main events. Yeah. And even with Garbrandt was on the card, I still think it was a little bit weak to be a pay-per-view main event in 2020. But I think the rest of the card makes up for it. I think it is a solid card. All right, let's get to it right now, Cole. Let's start with the first fight of the night. A welterweight bout between Luis Khaos and Saja Palatnikov. And right now the odds have Khaosi's a big favorite, minus 390. Palatnikov plus 320. I'm assuming you're going with your boy Luis Khaos, Cole.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Khaos brothers. I think Luis is the better. You know they have brothers. One's always a bit better. I think Luis is the guy that's a bit better than Orion. I think Luis is going to have more success. This Sash guy I'm not too familiar with. I looked up some of his fights. He's the first Hong Kong fighter in the USA or in the UFC, but he's been fighting out of Las Vegas. He has one of his only 2 losses is to Munir Laziz, where he got knocked out. The problem with him is what I said about Khaos Hendrick at the Contender Series was the lack of competition. Like he's fought a guy that was 3-4 last time out, 9-6, 2-2, 1-0, 1-1, and then obviously Munir Laziz who knocked out in the first round. So I feel like when he gets that step up, he's going to lose. Khaos has a ton of power. I did not see him beating Victorina. I'm there on Victorina. Again, he didn't have the highest level of competition, so it's hard to say what he's going to be like. I think at this point, the line is way too high. This is a complete pass for me, but I do like Khaos to win, probably by knockout as well.
Yeah, there's a guy named Alberto Mina that fought in the UFC a few years ago. He's Hong Kong based, but he is born in Brazil. So this guy is born in Hong Kong. Yeah, he's born there. So he's the first guy born there. Cole, I'll be honest with you. Here's my question. Why does this guy not have to fight a Contender Series? Why does he not have to go through tough? He has a 5-2 record. He got knocked out 2 fights to go by Munir Laziz. He's been KO'd twice in 7 fights. Why did this guy not have to take the hard road these other guys had to do, Cole? Tell me that. Why does this guy get a break? I don't understand that at all. So I like Khaos in this fight, guys. I looked into Palatnikov, and honestly, a guy who's been KO'd twice in 7 fights against a guy like Khaos who has vicious KO power, I might even overthink this one, guys. I think Khaos wins by knockout. So the odds on that, the fight not going to decision, minus 300, obviously, I'm not surprised. Minus 165 is at a distance. I think that wins. All of his wins are by stoppage, Cole, and all of Palatnikov's losses by stoppage. Khaos is one of those guys who goes for broke in the first round. Yeah. What about first round knockout? Let me check that out. First round for Louis Khaos in round 1, plus 125. So, like, the odds makers already know that's probably what's going to happen.
I actually do think he probably knocks him in the first.
I think he does do it in the first round. So the under is set at 1.5, which sucks because I like when it's 2.5. But minus 135. I think that hits too. So money line Louis Khaos. I think a lot of people will parlay him here, Cole. I'm pretty sure he wins this fight. Louis Khaos by knockout. Start the card off. All right, next up, we have Kyle Daukaus against Dustin Stoltzfus. This is a really good fight, Cole. 185 between 2 Contender Series guys. Again, why does the Palatnikov guy, why does he not have to go through tough? Everyone else does. And in Contender Series, it's crazy, right? So Daukaus and Stoltzfus right now, we got Daukaus minus 280, Stoltzfus plus 240. I'm a little surprised by that line, Cole, but what are your thoughts on it?
I really like Kyle Daukaus. I was really impressed. His UFC debut, took it on, I think it was I think he took it on the Monday of fight week or the Saturday. It was really short. It was between 8 and 6 days notice between there, and almost beat Brendan Allen, which was crazy because I'm really high on Brendan Allen. Stoltzfus, I was surprised he signed at the UFC because he won, because he slammed the guy and his arm got dislocated. Yeah. His elbow was. So I'm surprised they signed someone because you didn't really see a whole lot of him. I do think Daukaus is a much better fighter. He's proven how good he is in that loss to Brendan Allen. I think he's just going to out-grapple Dustin Stoltzfus. I don't know if he's going to finish him. Daukaus does have a lot of submission, so maybe he can get in some submission late in the fight if he can gas Stoltzfus, but I like Daukaus to win this fight.
I like both guys, but I favor Daukaus too for sure. I've been super impressed by this kid. Even the fight with Brendan Allen, man, he had some success in that fight. That was a great fight, by the way, a dog fight. That was 5 months ago. Wow, I'm surprised it was that long ago. He looked good in that fight, Cole. He's a guy that definitely is UFC quality for sure. Stoltzfus, you know what? It's one of those things, Cole, where it'd be very unfair to dock him because that's funny. It'd be unfair to dock him of his spot in the UFC because the other guy broke his arm. So I can see why they brought him in. But and he's good. He's actually really good, Cole. He's good. So I think he could win this fight. That's why I'm going to stay away from it because I think the line's too high. If Daukaus was minus 150, I would play him straight here. But at minus 280, I think it's a little bit too high personally. I do favor Daukaus probably to win the decision because Stoltzfus seems very durable. But I'm gonna be honest, Cole. This is one of those fights where I think Stoltzfus is being a little bit undervalued at odds. Plus 240, that seems a little excessive to me. Next up, we got Alan Jouban against Jerry Goodin. Interesting fight here, Cole. Jouban minus 140, Goodin plus 120. Who's your pick?
I actually like the underdog in Jerry Goodin. I think the problem is I can't trust Alan Jouban at this point of his career. He hasn't fought since April of 2019. The card Max Holloway fought Dustin Poirier on. That was a long time ago when he lost to Dwight Grant. Before that, beat Ben Saunders. Okay, I'm not too impressed with that win. And then lost to Gunnar Nelson, Nico Price. Jared Goodin, I've been pretty high on him. I've heard a lot of stuff with him. I've talked to him when he was on the regional scenes. His losses are to tough guys. His last 2 losses, Mike Graves, obviously, who probably still should be in the UFC. And then Bruno Oliveira, we saw how good he was on the Contender Series, had to fight up weight class against Carlos Holberg. I like Jared Goodin in this fight. I just can't trust Alan Jouban at this point of his career. I do worry about the layoff. I think Goodin's going to be more active. He's going to throw the more volume. Probably edge of decision. Alan Jouban's really durable, but I like Goodin to win this fight. Yeah,
this is an interesting fight. I like the matchup, but it's just one of those fights where Jouban is I don't think he's in his prime anymore. He's 38 now. I've always been a fan of this guy, though. I really like him. I really like him on the broadcast. He's obviously a really good-looking guy, very marketable, very good on TV. So I think that was a good move for him. But I feel like that's just showing he's got one foot out the door, Cole. So I got Goodin in this fight too, man. And remember when you told me the other day, me and Cole always talk before the fights, but we never give our picks to each other. I don't want to know what Cole's picking, and I don't want him to know what I'm picking. But he did say he was picking 4 underdogs on this card, so that's a small spoiler. One of them is this guy, and I kind of had a feeling you're going to take Goodin too, Cole. I mean, there's a lot to like about him here. He's 12 years younger. That's clue number 1, guys. 12 years younger. Not only that, he also has a slight reach advantage, which I like too, 2 inches. So there's a few things I like about him. And he's also on a 3-fight win streak, which is nice compared to Jouban, who's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. The problem with Goodin that I have is that fight with Bruno Oliveira that happened last year. He got KO'd, Cole. That does worry me, I'll be honest, because Jouban has KO power. So it's possible this guy could get knocked out because we saw with Oliveira in his last fight, Cole. He didn't even look that good. I know that was the upper weight class, but yeah, that does worry me a little bit. But overall, I think the 12-year age advantage and the slight reach advantage, that's enough for me to pick him. The question is it worth betting on? I got to think about it more. Just because I'm picking the dog doesn't mean it's necessarily worth a bet, because it is still risky, I think, considering this guy has no UFC fights, literally. So you're betting on a UFC newcomer who you don't know too much about against a guy who's a veteran. But at the same time, again, the layoff for Juban too, that's another problem. A year and a half, the age and the reach. I'm taking Jerry Goodin. You know what, Cole? I'm going to take him by knockout. I think you can knock out Alan Juban. I don't think this fight goes the distance. The fight not going the distance. Wow, minus 145. I mean, I guess it could go to decision, but I'm kind of leaning a finish goal, I'll be honest. That's kind of how I'm looking at that one. All right, next up, Nicholas Dalby and Daniel Rodriguez. This is a short notice fight. Daniel Rodriguez minus 310, Dalby plus 255. I'm assuming you like the favorite here, Cole, in the Rodriguez.
I like Daniel Rodriguez. I've impressed them in the UFC, but I can't bet that price on Daniel Rodriguez. Daniel Rodriguez, I don't think should be a almost minus 300 favorite. Like you can't find me a way to bet that. Maybe you do Rodriguez inside the distance. What's that? Or Rodriguez by knockout, because Rodriguez by TKO KO was plus 140. We saw Dalby get knocked out to Jesse Ronson, or we see him get finished against Jesse Ronson. He ended up getting submitted, but he got rocked, and then Ronson went for the choke. If Rodriguez drops him, Rodriguez is not going for the choke. He's going to go finish him. I actually don't mind Rodriguez by knockout at plus money. I think he wins this fight, but I can't lay the money line. I think you're going to have to look for a prop or parlay with one of the other favorites, like Louis Koski, and get a lower price.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Those two guys I like a lot. I really like D-Rod in this fight, man. This guy is awesome. Love this guy. He's kind of like a late bloomer. He's 33 years old, Cole, but he's been super impressive throughout his UFC run. 3 straight wins this year. Tim Means, he finished Tim Means in his first fight. That's nice. Knocked out Dwight Grant. That's a nice win. Gabe Green. That guy's not really that great, but still, 3 wins in the UFC. And overall, he's on a 8-fight win streak or a 9-fight win streak. Wow. So he's really impressive. He's got 1 loss in his career 3 years ago. Again, a guy who's a late bloomer. He just started fighting as a pro 2015 at age 28. So I like this guy, Cole. I mean, Nicholas Dalby, obviously more experienced, Cole, but he's the other thing. He's 36 now. He's getting up there in age, and he's coming off an absolutely vicious loss to Ronson as a big favorite, as a huge favorite in that fight. That was a big upset. And overall, you look at his UFC career, Cole, his UFC record overall is 2-3-1. So he's a guy that generally loses, or he has a draw too. I just don't trust this dude at all. I'm going to take Daniel Rodriguez. The question is he finish the fight or is he go to decision? I know you're leaning towards a finish, but other than the Ronson fight, Dalby is very, very durable, never finished. So I honestly could see it going either way, Cole. But I guess if I had to pick, I would lean a little bit towards a finish. But again, Rodriguez has 2 decisions in his last 5 fights, so it's possible it could go the distance. Either way, I like D-Rod a lot in this fight. I think he wins for sure. Next up, we have a women's flyweight bout between Antonina Shevchenko and Ariane Lipski. And right now we have Antonina Shevchenko minus 160, Lipski plus 140. I got to be honest, Cole, I'm surprised by these odds, but I want to hear your thoughts on it.
I like the underdog Ariane Lipski, and I'm going to bet this fight, but I'm waiting, because if you look at the odds, people are still betting Shevchenko. Do they not realize, like, Ariane Lipski has a really good ground game. She was known for striking KSW, but her ground game, she has good wrestling. Antonina Shevchenko has absolutely no wrestling or takedown defense. We saw Caitlin Chukagian, who is not a wrestler at all, take Shevchenko down at will, and Shevchenko had no clue how to get up. I fully expect Ariane Lipski to just have a wrestling-heavy game plan. Just get Shevchenko down, look for a submission. Even if she can't get a submission, just beat her up on the ground and hold her down, similar to what Chukagian did. I don't know why Antonina Shevchenko is closing in on a minus 200 favorite. The line looks like it's going that way. It keeps on going in Shevchenko's favor. So if I can get like Lipski at plus 160, I'm taking that shot. Like, Ariane Lipski, I think, is a much better fighter. Shevchenko is one way to win. Keep this standing. But even standing, Ariane Lipski's striking is very good. I think there's a much clear advantage. Ariane Lipski is 10 times better than Shevchenko on the ground. On the feet, it's pretty close. Maybe Shevchenko has a slight edge, but Ariane Lipski, if she's going to win this fight, it's going to be on the ground. I don't trust Shevchenko on the ground, so I like Ariane Lipski in this fight.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on this one. This is definitely a dog situation. I don't understand why people are laying. As someone who's bet on Shevchenko as a big favorite and who she's lost a few times for me, especially against Roxanne, where I was just like, really, you're going to lose that fight? Don't bet on her here, guys. This is a fight that's dog or pass 100%. I like Lipski here. I mean, I don't love her, Cole, by any means, because she has been inconsistent in UFC, but she's looked better in the last 2 fights. And like you said, the biggest thing to me is the ground game, because Shevchenko's ground game is just terrible. Like, it's really, really bad. It's almost shocking a UFC fighter has that bad of takedown defense. 5 takedowns that she didn't stop against Roxanne, and 3 against Chookagian. Her last fight was a beating 2 goal against Chookagian, who just got destroyed in like 1 minute or whatever it was. So, yeah, this is absolutely a fade spot on Anthony Shevchenko, who, by the way, is 10 years older than Lipski, too. Lipski's, dude, she's younger than me. I'm 88. She's 94. She's, what is she, 26? Whereas Shevchenko is 36, right? So that's huge, Cole. Lipski, man. This is dog or pass, guys. Lipski's got value here. Plus, what is it, plus 140, Cole? I like her already, Cole. I'll be honest, man. I like her at any plus money besides.
No, and look at the line. It's going in more favor of Shevchenko, which I do not understand at all.
I guess people think that Lipski's going to have one of her like really bad performances here, but I'm not so sure, Cole. Especially after that last fight where she had the knee bar. That's a confidence booster. I think it's going to help her out. And I'm pretty sure she got a new UFC contract after that, too. Anyways, me and Cole both like Lipski. Are you favoring a decision or a sub?
I'd probably think a decision. Like, you can put her out, Roxanne Montfort.
Yeah, and you know what? There's no value on that, by the way. It's minus 265 to go the distance. I don't see value because I think there is a possibility you could see a submission. So I wouldn't even touch that. I do like Lipski as a dog. Let's not overthink it. All right, let's go to the next fight, Cole. Middleweight bout, Joaquin Buckley returns after the KO of the year against Jordan Wright. Interesting fight, Cole, and big odds on Buckley this time, minus 265. Jordan Wright plus 225. And just before I get into it, Cole, because I just got to mention this, Buckley's a huge favorite here, but the last couple fights for Buckley, he was plus 185 against Impa and plus 330 against Holland. He gets the win over Impa, and now he's a massive favorite. What are your thoughts on this line, Cole?
The line is stupid. I do like Joaquin Buckley. I just keep on fading Jordan Wright. I'm not high on Jordan Wright at all. This guy, he does have some advantages over Joaquin Buckley. He has a 4-inch reach advantage. He has a 4-inch height advantage. Like, Wright is the taller guy, but man, this guy fought literally cans to get to the UFC. Look at his record. 0-0, 0-0, 0-5, 0-0. He fought 2 guys back-to-back, 0-21 and 0-10. He got them out in a combined 49 seconds. You should be doing that. 2 guys that's 0-21, and then 0-0, 1-2, 7-3. The first time he fought someone was Anthony Hernandez on the Contender Series. Got absolutely dusted in 40 seconds. He's still undefeated because Hernandez popped for marijuana. So it's which is stupid.
Big bad marijuana, man. He was high in the fight. No, I'm kidding.
And then he goes out, beats Gabriel Checo. All right, that's an okay win. Then he goes out and beats Ike Villanueva, who I'm not high on at all. So, okay. Joaquin Buckley, I think, is the much better striker than Jordan Wright. I think he might be able to put out Jordan Wright. He has a ton of knock power. But this is a guy that was knocked out to Kevin Holland just, 4 months ago was that? So 5 months ago. I can't trust Joaquin Buckley at this price. This is a complete pass. I have no interest in betting either side. I don't even think there's much value in Jordan Wright because I'm not high on him at all. I'm staying away from this fight, but I think Buckley should win, but absolutely no way you should lay that price on Buckley.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement. It's like this is just like the Hansen fight last week where I'm like super on the fence because I really want to bet this person, but something worries me about this fight. I ended up taking Hansen, and it was a loss, but it was still a profitable night. With this one, minus 265, and I'm a guy who typically prefers straight bets. I don't know about that at minus 265. So to me, it's a little bit high, but I do think he's going to be a popular parlay piece. People will fade Jordan Wright because of the Anthony Hernandez fight, and I can't blame him because honestly, Cole, it does worry me too. If he got KO'd in 40 seconds by Hernandez, there's no reason Buckley can't finish him with strikes as well. It is a different matchup. Also, Wright's got some advantages in this fight. He's a bigger guy, longer reach. He's a guy who used to fight up a weight class, so he has some advantages, but overall, I think Buckley with the speed and the striking, he'll get it done. So I picked somebody Buckley. I think he probably gets the finish. Fight not going distance, minus 505. So the odds makers obviously feel that way, and so do I. So I picked Buckley by knockout, Cole. I do like him in this fight. It's just that the line to me is a little bit excessive. Considering the 2 fights ago, he was plus 330, Cole. So to me, that's a little bit excessive here. I think people are obviously really high on him after the fight with Impa, and for good reason because he looked great, but I don't know, Cole. I just think that line's a little bit high. And, Jordan Wright, to be fair to the guy, other than the fight with Hernandez, he's finished everyone, including Ike Villanueva. I know that's not a great win by any means, but he beat the crap out of that dude. It was actually a nice performance. He looked really good. Hey, comment from Masio, a bad version of Wonder Boy. Is he talking about a Buckley maybe? Or I'm not sure actually who are you talking about, Masio? I'm assuming you're talking about Buckley. Or maybe he's talking about Shevchenko. All right, Cole. Last prelim here. I love this fight, Cole. Brandon Moreno against Brandon Royval, the battle of the Brandons. Love it. Minus 190 Moreno, plus 165 Royval. Who wins the fight between the two best Brandon flyweights in the UFC?
I love this fight. This is the fight I actually broke because it was crazy. It was literally like Perez gets the title shot. I texted both those guys, and Moreno goes, "Well, I want to compete on the card." And I'm literally text Brandon Royval, and he's like, "I'm sitting next to my manager. I asked for the fight. I'll let you know." Literally, like 2 minutes later, both guys go, "Yeah, the fight's done." And I'm like, literally, this Perez was made like 30 minutes ago, and this fight's already done. He has both side gotchas. I'm like, they moved quick, but I love this fight. This fight should be on the main card. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
I talked to both guys. Both guys plan on making 125 just in case anything happens with Figueiredo Perez. I think if something happens, it's going to be Brandon Moreno getting the shot instead of Royval. So, but I slightly lean towards Brandon Moreno on this fight. I have picked against Brandon Royval in both his UFC fights. I'm 0-2 in Brandon Royval fights. I fully admit that. The Tim Elliott one, it was just because I was short notice. Kai Kara France, I'm super high in Kai Kara France. I'm probably driving the Kai Kara France like fan bus over here. I think this guy's really good, but Brandon Royval has impressed me, but I just think Brandon Moreno is just a different animal. He has solid takedown defense on the feet, his volume. I think that's the big point is he just throws so much. He doesn't get tired. I wonder how Royval's going to deal with that volume. Would I be shocked if Brandon Royval won this fight? No. So that's why I'm staying away from it. I don't have enough confidence in Brandon Moreno to lay almost 2-1. I think he should be able to edge out a decision, but again, I'm not confident. So my pick is Moreno by decision, but I am staying away from this from a betting perspective.
Yeah, this is a great fight. I think this definitely could be fight of the night. Love the matchup. Both guys obviously really good. And I think that's a smart move to make 125 because honestly, there's no telling if Figueiredo even shows up on weight. I know he told you he was, but we'll see, Cole. Because he told you that, didn't he tell you that 2 fights ago when he missed? So, I've been actually really good at picking these guys' fights, both of them. I've been very good at it. So I think I'm a really good read on these guys, especially Royval though, Cole. I've picked him at both his fights in the UFC so far, man. As a dog both times. I can't not take him as a dog again, Cole. Come on, you got to ride the money train, right? So I'm going to go with Brandon Royval here, but this is definitely a harder fight than the other ones, I think. Moreno's more well-rounded than Kara France and Elliott for sure. He looks like a guy that's poised to be a title contender, but I really believe in Royval, man. His striking, his grappling, his finishing ability. Physically, he's a little bit taller. The reach is a little bit shorter, but he is a southpaw, which helps as well. So I think that stuff kind of is a wash. It ultimately comes down, I think, to just who's a little bit more dynamic, and I think Royval's a little bit more dynamic. It's going to be a close fight. He might not get the finish this time. It's possible he could, but I'm going to take Royval Cole. I can't pick against this guy after riding this hot streak for the first 2 fights. I'm going to continue riding here. It's a closer fight for sure than the other ones, but I will take Brandon Royval. And Moreno, looking at his record, he's a guy who's extremely hard to finish. So probably by decision here, Royval's first decision in the UFC, but love the matchup, Cole, and I'm excited to see this one. All right, let's get to the main card, Cole. First fight in the card is a rematch between Paul Craig and Mauricio Shogun Rua. And right now we have Paul Craig minus 170, Rua plus 150. Who's your pick?
I like Shogun Rua, and I don't know why. The first time they fought, I thought Shogun Rua won the fight. He was a big favorite. I thought Paul Craig, I thought it was a 10-9. It could have been 10-8, but I thought Shogun Rua won the last 2 rounds. So if you're going to give me plus money, and if you look at MMA decisions, I think it was like almost all of them, but 2 scored it for Shogun. So if you're going to be plus money on Shogun, who a guy I think beat the guy 2 fights ago, I know Shogun did not look good in his last fight. I know he's getting older, but he still has been, like, people overlook him. This guy is 5-1-1 in his last 7. Like, he has looked good. Paul Craig is a guy I cannot trust at all. This guy I don't trust his fight IQ ever. He makes so many mistakes. Would I be surprised if he goes out there and dominates Shogun Rua in the first round again, then absolutely gas himself? No, because that's what he does. I think he's like that 1-round fighter. I know he submitted an ankle late in the fight, but I just can't trust him as a favorite. I think Shogun is going to be more prepared. I think he can stop the takedowns on the feet. I like Shogun striking a lot better. I'll take Shogun by decision. I don't really love the pick, though, but I just can't trust Paul Craig.
Yeah, I don't trust either guy, honestly, in this fight. I actually been pretty good with Shogun's fights the last couple of years. I've been pretty solid with him. Craig, I'm not good at picking his fights, so this is a fight I'm not betting on because I've been very inconsistent with Paul Craig's fights. I also thought that Shogun won the first fight, Cole. However, I do believe it is a different matchup. Shogun's older now. He's coming off that fight with Rogerio Nogueira, which was an absolute war, which I thought he lost, by the way. So, that was, to me, yes, it was a pretty fun fight to watch, but he took a lot of damage in that fight, and he's coming back a few months later. The thing is, Paul Craig's not really a striker, so Shogun will have the advantage on the feet. But Paul Craig, I'm not saying he's an amazing grappler, and his takedowns are not good either, but he somehow manages to get almost all his fights to the ground, Cole. And once they're on the ground, he's so good in the ground. So I actually think Paul Craig might be able to get this fight to the mat, and Shogun's very hard to finish. I'm not even sure if he's been. Well, actually, that's not true. Forrest Griffin submitted him, so I remember that. Other than that, and Chael submitted him too. Yeah, I remember that was. I think that was a little bit before you were betting on the sport, Cole. But I remember I had Shogun big in that fight. I was really surprised Chael choked him out. So, yeah, those 2 losses. It's possible he could get finished. And Hanato Babalu submitted him 17 years ago. So it's possible he'll get tapped out here by Paul Craig because he's that good in the ground. But again, Paul Craig's a guy I'm just so inconsistent on. And, I like looking back at fighters and looking back through their fights and being like, did I call this correctly? And I know some fighters I have really good reads on, like Brandon Royval in the last fight. Shogun I have a good read on. Paul Craig, not so much. I have to fade Shogun, Cole, at this age, at 38. I have to fade him here, but I would not bet on Paul Craig. I'm like you. Paul Craig's the guy you bet as an underdog. We've talked about these guys before, right? Like Darren Elkins, Cole. You like him as a dog. You don't like playing juiced on him. So my pick, Paul Craig by decision, and or maybe submission possibly. But
submission plus 650, which I think is worth.
You know what? Yeah, I didn't even look at the prop. So yeah, I mean, you got to take a shot on that. You have to, right? You have to, especially with his ground game.
Paul Craig by submission, then Paul Craig just to win at that money line. 650, like throw a couple bucks on it, see what happens.
I'm with Cole. I think that's the way to play it. You throw a punt on it, and otherwise, I don't know. Maybe other people have different reads of this fight. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are going to back Shogun as a dog. I can't at age 38. All right, Cole. Next up, Kay Chukagin makes a quick turnaround here against Cynthia Calvillo, women's 125. And right now we have Calvillo is the favorite, minus 255, Chukagin plus 215. What do you think of these odds?
I'm surprised they're this high. Chukagin, obviously, she didn't look too good against her last fight against Jussier Formiga. I still think Chukagin's one of the top girls at 125, but I do like Cynthia Calvillo in this fight. I think Calvillo can out-grapple Katlyn Chukagin. Chukagin has solid takedown defense. On the feet, I think Chukagin's a better striker. She also is going to be going to have a reach advantage, just a slight, I think it's 2-3 inches, but I like Calvillo to win a decision, but no way I'm betting Calvillo at this price. I think that's a common thing on this card. Is I think it's way too high. Calvillo should not be this big a favorite. I think Calvillo should be about a minus 165 or minus 170. Minus 255, there's absolutely no way I'm betting this. Maybe you do Calvillo by decision, which is still minus 120. I don't really know if I want to lay chalk on that because we saw Chukagin get finished her last fight. So I like Calvillo to win, but at this point, the line is way too high for me to bet on Calvillo.
Yeah, she opened in the minus 150 range, and obviously she's up almost 100 cents. So I do like her here, though, Cole. I'm fading Chukagin, coming off a brutal loss just one fight, a month ago. So you got to fade her here. She got destroyed in that fight. Calvillo looked incredible in her flyweight debut, which I picked her in as well. I've been high on Calvillo since she entered the UFC. The only fight I got wrong first was the Esparza win, which I think she arguably won. So she's a great fighter, and I really like her in this weight class too, with that wrestling, the toughness, the cardio. Hopefully she's recovered from COVID-19 because obviously that knocked her over the last fight. I'm a little confused why they didn't book the Lauren Murphy fight. There's obviously some issues there with the matchmaker and stuff, and now she has a new manager, Lauren Murphy. So something happened there, Cole, where the right information was not passed on to her. But I think maybe if Calvillo wins, they could rebook that. We'll see, because I do think Andrade gets the next shot at the belt. But who knows? Calvillo goes out there and finishes Chukagin in even more impressive fashion. Maybe she gets a title shot. I like Calvillo here, Cole. The line is a little bit high, but I do think she wins this fight. Calvillo by decision. That's my pick in this one. Let's go to the next fight, Cole. This is a really good fight. Definitely going to be in contention for fight of the night. Mike Perry against Tim Means. Mike Perry minus 150. Tim Means plus 130. Who's your pick?
I like Tim Means as an underdog here. I'm not too high on Mike Perry anymore. I don't think his last fight he beat Mickey Gall. Okay, I don't think Mickey Gall's a UFC caliber fighter. Before that, knocked out to Jeff Neal, lost to Vicente Luque, beat Cabo Oliveira, which looks good, and then submitted against Donald Cerrone. He does have some good ones, like the Paul Felder split, but again, that was a fight Felder took on short notice, up a weight class, broke his arm in the fight. Tim Means, I picked his last fight. He was an underdog against Staropoli. He looked good. Before that was Smith against Daniel Rodriguez, but now we have to see how good Rodriguez is. I think Tim Means is the more technical striker. I think if Perry can't get Means out in the first round, he can have some trouble. Means does have a questionable chin. Would I be surprised if Mike Perry knocks him out in the first? Absolutely not. But I think Means can survive that first round. I think he can outpoint Perry on the feet, similar to what he did to Staropoli, and just win a decision. I like Tim Means this fight. I think he wins a decision. Mike Perry's durable as hell to get out of there. I don't think Means has the power Jeff Neal has. So I like Tim Means by decision.
This is a great fight. I love Tim Means. You guys know that. We all know that. This is a guy I've been high on forever, but there's some problems I have with him in this fight. First off, he's getting up there in age, man. He's 36. Mike Perry's a little bit younger, 29. That's a huge issue that I have. And Tim Means, you look at his last couple of fights, Cole, he looked good in the last fight against Staropoli, surprisingly beat a guy that was a lot younger than him, so he looked good in that fight. But win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, loss, win, loss, no contest, win, win, loss. So he's super inconsistent, and I can't trust him here. Even though Mike Perry is not consistent necessarily himself, he did look a lot better in that fight with Mickey Gall. I liked how he looked in that fight. I know he didn't get the finish, but he just looked more well-rounded where he's getting takedowns. He's working his striking too. So he looked good in that fight. If he follows a similar game plan, I do think he could beat Tim Means by decision here by taking him down, because Tim Means does not have great takedown defense. His ground game is not his forte. He's a striker. And if he stays on the feet, he will piece out Mike Perry, I think. I think he actually beat Mike Perry. But Mike Perry does have KO power. Nico Price knocked out Tim Means last year. And I do think that Perry could catch him on the chin too. So my leans towards Perry, but are you kidding me? There's no way in hell I'd put money on this dude. He doesn't even have a real corner. He's got his girlfriend who's pregnant, and he's got an old friend of his who could be some random fan that paid him. We have no idea who it is. I think he would have been better off with Darren Till in his corner, quite honestly. So to me, it's like this guy he's an entertaining guy to watch what happens. He's a good guy to write about. We make money off his stories, but at the same time, he is a decent fighter too. And if he can fight smart here, he can win. But I wouldn't bet on this fight. I'm not betting on it because Tim Means definitely got the striking to make life miserable for Mike Perry. But again, the takedown defense really bothered me and the inconsistency. Mike Perry, by decision, that'd be my pick in this one. But yeah, I'm not betting. There's better spots in this card for me. All right, next up, Valentina Shevchenko against Jennifer Maia Cole. And let's go through this one quick because, I mean, Maia's 1,400 for Shevchenko, Maia plus 925. I'm not going to ask you if Maia's going to win because we both know she's going to lose. Does she lose by decision, submission, or knockout? What do you think?
I think that's the only way you bet Shevchenko is find the prop. I like Shevchenko to win inside the distance. I don't think she'll be able to submit Jennifer Maia. So Shevchenko by TKO, take KO minus 130. Shevchenko.
Submission is plus 550. That's the one I'm looking at. Yeah.
Shevchenko inside the distance minus 195. Shevchenko, I honestly wouldn't mind just hammering Shevchenko inside the distance. I don't think Maia's a 5-round fighter. I think she's going to gas out. I think Shevchenko is either going to finish her early or late. I don't expect this fight to hit scorecards. Minus 195. I'm basically betting minus 195 on Valentina Shevchenko. I'll take that all day long.
I'm 100% with you on this. I don't think it goes the full 5-2. I know that she went 5 just 2 fights ago with Liz Carmouche. Wasn't able to finish her, but Maia, I don't think she'll have the cardio too, Cole. Like, she cuts a lot of weight to make 125. And first off, she's at risk of missing weight for this fight. Imagine that happened. That'd be embarrassing. It could happen. She has 5 fights and she's missed weight in 2 of them in the UFC. I just think she's one of the most least deserving title contenders of all time, Cole. I really do. A 3-2 record, 2 weight misses. She has 1 good win against Collarwood. She looked good in that fight, no doubt about it. She does have submissions. So if the fight goes to the ground, which I think it will, by the way, I think it goes to the ground. I think Shevchenko's been doing that the last few fights to Chikagian, Jessica Eye. She did kick Jessica in the head in the second round. The first round was all her just grounding her to the ground and pounding her out. So I think that's what happens here. I think she just takes her down, beats her up. Maia is very durable. She hasn't been finished in like almost a decade, I think, but I don't see her lasting the distance, Cole. I just can't see it. So I'm with Cole. I think, minus 1,400 and you get minus 195 on inside the distance against someone who finishes fights, quite frankly. Shevchenko is a finisher. Of course, there's a chance this could go to decision, but I would say that it's like 80-20 towards finish decision. So I think that the inside distance, Cole, I think it should be minus 400, minus 500. I don't think it should be minus 195. So I think Cole is bang on with that. But I also like that sub prop at plus 550. You could take a small shot at that too. It's very hard to get into those particular props. I understand that. But I think with Shevchenko, she has shown that rear naked choke and that arm bar against Pena. So she's got a great ground game. And either way she wins. Now, this fight's interesting, Cole, main event. I'm not sure what you think about this one. Alex Perez against Deiveson Figueiredo, UFC Flyweight Championship. I really like this fight, Cole. I gotta be honest. It's a better fight than I think people are giving it credit for. And right now we got the champ minus 300 and the challenger Perez plus 250. How do you handicap this fight, Cole?
I think the line is a bit out of hand. I think Alex Perez poses a lot of problems for Deiveson Figueiredo. The wrestling, the cardio. I think Alex Perez probably has better cardio than Deiveson Figueiredo. But the problem is Figueiredo gets everyone out so quickly that we don't know what he's going to be like. And he did 30-27 Alexander Pantoja a couple fights ago, which was really impressive. So he does have 3-round cardio. What's cardio in the 4th and 5th round? I don't know, but Perez also hasn't gone 5 rounds. But I think it's way too high. Personally, I think Deiveson Figueiredo should be above a 2-1. I think like that 225 range is probably where he should be just because the last 2 fights. But at this point, I think he is a bit too high. But I like Deiveson Figueiredo to win this fight. I expect him to finish Alex Perez. I think he's going to knock out Alex Perez. We saw Perez get knocked out by Jose Benavidez just 2 years ago, basically, almost to the day. Like November 11th, 2018, he got knocked out by Benavidez. And the thing about Figueiredo is everyone points to that Formiga fight that looks at his wrestling, but his takedown defense has looked very impressive. This is a guy that stuffed all of Benavidez's takedown, who's a pretty good wrestler, and then goes out there and absolutely dominates Benavidez on the ground, takes his back multiple times, sinks in a choke. Like, he has underrated jiu-jitsu game. So I don't know how much Alex Perez's ground game is going to help him. On the feet, I think Figueiredo packs a lot more power than Alex Perez. Figueiredo does get hit a lot. I think his significant strikes thing was like minus 0.5, so he gets hit 0.5 times more than he lands. But he's one of those guys that's going to give one a take one because he has that knockout power. I expect Figueiredo to finish Perez probably second, third round by knockout.
I love the fight, but I don't like the line here, guys. I think it's too high. It opened at minus 210, so it's basically $1 more now. And I understand you're paying a premium on Deiveson now because of the last two fights against Benavidez. Where the first time me and you, I don't think we had him in the first fight, Cole, but the last fight we both loved him there, and he was like a small favorite. This fight, he's minus 300. I think that the line's a little out of hand. I know that Figueiredo is incredible. I'm going to pick him here 100%. Don't get me wrong, picking him. It's just like, am I willing to lay minus 300? Is it worth it? I don't know. I'm not sure. You know, he should win because he's got the knockout power. He's got the submissions. He's shown an incredible ability to knock people out at this weight class. So this is a guy that I think could have success up a weight class. So I think he's great, and I'm excited to see what he does in this fight with Perez. Cole, he's 7-1 in the UFC, or 6-1, I should say. He's looked good, man. He's looked good. Lots of knockouts, submissions. The guy's great. Now, it's just funny because Figueiredo's got the one loss to Formiga, who was just cut, by the way. Perez just knocked him out. Perez has got the loss to Benavidez. Formiga just finished him. So it's kind of funny. MMA math doesn't work in this case. I gotta go with Figueiredo, guys, but I'm telling you, man, Perez, you could take a shot at him at plus 250, Cole. It's not the worst bet in the world. If he gets to like plus 300, Cole, wouldn't you be tempted just to throw a few bucks on him? Because he has passed to win this fight, guys. Again, when you're looking at fights, you got to look at both sides. You can't just be like, okay, this guy's a champ. He's amazing. Perez is a great fighter too, and he's been favored in almost all of his fights, so people know who he is. He's just being really undervalued here. I got this comment here. Serial winner, please shave that stash of you, please. I beg of you, bro. I thought he's talking about me because I feel like I got to shave, but nah. Cole's got the tickler, bro.
Give me 13 more days and it's gone.
The ladies love it, man. The ladies love it. Anyways, we're gonna finish this UFC card, Cole. We only have like, what do we have? 5-6 minutes. Let's go through Contender Series super quick, okay? All right. Chelsea Hackett against Victoria Leonardo. That's tonight, by the way, guys. That's tonight, and I'll be watching for sure. 125 pounds, Cole. Who's your pick in this one?
I think.
Sorry, I didn't say the odds today. Hackett's minus 240, Leonardo plus 200. Go ahead.
I like Chelsea Hackett. I think he can. She's one of the top prospects in Australia. Trains with Alexander Volkanovski. Whenever I talk Volkanovski, he always brings her up, saying this girl's a future champion. Like, she has everything what it takes. But I don't know if I hate betting on Contender Series, so I will never bet on them.
I'm with Cole. We've talked about this pretty much all season, but there are spots where there are certain fighters that you can pick on. I'll give you an example. Josh Parisian, like 2 months ago, he's a proven guy, Cole, so we know who he is. So that's why we picked him. Serial winner, I totally understand your comments, bro, but the thing is, Cole's doing this for Movember. It's for charity. It's a good thing. It's a good cause, and I respect what Cole's doing. Although I personally think Cole is a clean-shaven guy. Then again, look at me. I got a shave too, so I can't say anything. Anyways, I like Hackett here, but minus 240, Cole, for a girl with, 3 fights? I don't know about that, Cole. It's a little expensive. Leonardo has experience in Bellator, Invicta. I do think Hackett wins, though, so I'm going to pick her here, guys, but the price is a little bit high. Next up, Sherrard Blackledge against Tucker Lutz. Blackledge minus 185, Lutz plus 160. I'm pretty sure the winner gets in because they already have a weight Contender Series. What do you think, Cole? I kind of feel like Lutz could win this fight. What do you think?
I like Blackledge, but the line, I think this is a pick-em fight.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. Yeah. I'm 100% with you, Cole. So Blackledge is a pick, but no bet, obviously, for you. Gloria DePaul against Pauline Macias. Go check out their Instagrams. I think you guys will be happy with this one. This is definitely a good fight, I think. The winner's going to go in the UFC. The Gloria DePaul minus 200, Macias plus 170. Who's your pick, Cole?
This fight, I honestly have no clue. I have no interest in betting this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if either girl won. So I have to favor, obviously, Paula slightly, but I would not be shocked if Messias won.
Hey, I gotta get this comment here. He wants to donate to Movember. You have a link or something, Cole?
No, I just donate to my friends. I don't do my own. I really should, but
you can PayPal Cole the money. I'm sure he'll take it on PayPal. Next up, we got JP buys, the boyfriend or husband of Cheyenne buys against Jacob Silva. Cole buys minus 360, Silva plus 200. What's with this line? What do you think about this one?
Line is way too high, but I'm surprised to bring back Jacob Silva. This is the guy that lost in the series. It was a
good fight. It was a good fight.
How often do you see a guy back fights in the Contender series that lost?
It was a good fight. It was one of those fights where both guys could have got in, just like the Blackledge and Cameron Church fight. That was a great fight too, right? There's certain fights where they'll take both guys. But yeah, I mean, Bai should win, right, Cole? But are you kidding me? He got knocked out by Joby Sanchez 2 years ago in Contender series, Cole. That guy's not even in the UFC anymore. And finally, Cole, Nick Maximov against Oscar Cota at heavyweight, and Maximov minus 450, Cota plus 360. Who's your pick?
And Nick Maximov is a middleweight light heavyweight. This guy weighed 209 pounds. He's a main training partner of Nick Diaz. I think the UFC wants him in. He's a jiu-jitsu wizard. But the big question is, it's a 55-pound weight difference. Will he be able to get him down to the ground? If you can't get him down to the ground, he's probably going to lose. So I think he will eventually get him down on the ground, submit him. But he always took the fight just getting the UFC and fight in front of Dana White. But this guy is a light heavyweight.
I think speed kills a little bit here. I think he's going to win the fights, and he's got a lot of finishes. This guy looks pretty good. We don't have much time, guys. We have a few minutes. I'm going to do lightning fast round here with Cole. Fabricio Werdum, Cole, signed with PFL. Thoughts on that?
I'm a bit disappointed. I wanted to see that Fedor rematch, and I thought Bellator made sense. I don't know why Bellator didn't try to get him. PFL, to be honest, I don't know why anyone's signing with PFL right now.
Yeah. I don't get it either. Why would you even take that risk? I don't like that move for Doom. I mean, he could win the tournament, win $1 million, make us look like idiots, but on paper, Cole, it seems like a tough run for him. Jussier Formiga got cut by the UFC. It's kind of awkward because he beat Figueiredo last year, Cole. So I know he's kind of like a boring fighter, I guess, because he's more of a grappler, but I'm not sure about that, Cole, that cut. And really quickly, just give me your thoughts on these 3 fights. Volkov versus Overeem. What do you think of that fight?
I really like it. This is a fight that should happen for a while. I called for it after Overeem's went over Walters, called for it after Overeem's went over Sakai. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Yep. And the next one, Barcelos against Merab Dvalishvili. What do you think of that one?
I am so looking forward to this fight. I have no clue I'm picking. Yeah, that is a great fight.
Love that fight. And then Ian Heinisch against Kelvin Gastelum.
This is a good fight. I think it's Gastelum needed to step down. He's sneakily on a 3-fight losing streak. A lot of people don't view him on a 3-fight losing streak. He hasn't won since he beat Djokovic by split, and a lot of people don't even think he won that fight. So it's tough. Ian Heinisch, I'm pretty high on Ian Heinisch, but man, this is a big step up for him. But if Gastelum loses to Heinisch, I don't really know what the UFC does with him.
Yep. There's so much more to talk about, guys, but we honestly have 2 minutes left here. So I'm going to take Marcus's question. Marcus, good morning. As Michael Chandler responded to Tony Ferguson's call to fight next month, if he hasn't, what do you interpret that to mean? I'm not sure what's going on with this guy. Okay, first off, I love Michael Chandler, great fighter. I want to see him fight. I think the Ferguson fight's a great fight. He should be happy he's getting a guy that's top 3 ranked. I think Ferguson almost got screwed, and he kind of played himself a little bit with the whole Poirier situation. Poirier ends up fighting Conor and making a ton of money, and Ferguson's on the sidelines. That fight needs to go on 256. It really needs a marquee fight, Cole. I hope they add to that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I saw Ariel say last night it's probably not going to happen, which is disappointing. But 256 needs another big name, and that would have been a great fight to co-headline.
Yep. And Cyril Winter says subscribe. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, MMAOBsburger.com. Great place to be. So definitely check us out. Tuesday and Thursday, 10 a.m. That's when I do the podcast with Cole. Last thing, Cole, I just saw on Twitter, Khamzat Chimaev is ranked in the top 15. Yeah. Wow. I'm not sure about that. I'll be honest, because what's his best win at welterweight? Reese McKee, right?
That's his only win at welterweight.
Come on.
So Toronto ranked now?
That doesn't make sense then, right? Does it make sense to you? What do you think of that, Cole?
No.
So then Morona should actually be ranked higher because he has more wins. I don't agree with that, guys. I know he's amazing. I know he's a big favorite against Leon Edwards. Just because he's booked to fight a guy doesn't mean he actually should be ranked above guys that have been grinding forever. That's it, Cole. We don't have any time left, so I want you to plug yourself really quick, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, the podcast, All Flyweight Show, Alex Perez, Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval, stories all them, fighter picks for the 2 title fights. Yeah. Everything else always on my Twitter.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at @AdamMartin Podcast, MMAOBsburger.com, YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, everywhere you guys listen to podcasts. But we prefer when you come on and join us 10 a.m. Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. And Thursday morning, I do Bellator previews here as well. And if there's no Bellator, I'll break down the news. But I am doing the show on Thursday, Cole. I'll be breaking down this week's Bellator card, which is a great card, by the way, Cole. I'm looking forward to that one a lot. So definitely check that out. MMAOBsburger.com is my home, guys. BJPen.com. MMAratings.net, and odds.com. That's my latest website. And I just did something on Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. today, so definitely check that out. Hope you guys have a great couple of days, and I'll be back on Thursday to talk some more MMA. Have a good one. Bye.